In the previous video, we talked about how Netflix butchered the characters from the Witcher books with their awful writing. In this one, I would like to go through a relationship they've ruined. I want to start with the relationship between Geralt and Jaskier. In the books, they are total bros. One of my favorite scenes in Blood of Elves is after Yennefer saves Jaskier from Rience when they are talking in the tavern. She mentions that she wouldn't like anything bad to happen to Jaskier, because she likes him too much and owes him too much. When Jaskier asks what could she possibly owe him, she says that he traveled with Geralt. Thanks to Jaskier, he wasn't alone, because Jaskier was his only friend. To this, Jaskier just humbly replies that Geralt didn't get much from their friendship, and he had only trouble because of it. In the show, this scene was of course changed. It had to be, because Netflix also changed the ending of the Bounds of Reason short story in the first season. So the last time Geralt and Jaskier have seen each other, Geralt snapped at Jaskier and essentially told him that he doesn't want Jaskier in his life, which by itself butchered the spirit of their relationship from the books. But let's see how did they adapt the scene in the tavern with Yennefer. Because Jaskier and Geralt left things on bad terms in the first season, Jaskier sings the Burn Witcher Burn, which is a cringy song by the way, and Jaskier from the books would never do something so pathetic, but I digress. After the performance, Yennefer meets with Jaskier and says that Geralt must have left a really sour taste in his mouth. More cringe ensues when Jaskier is trying to play dumb, but eventually he admits that when he wrote the song, it did come from a broken heart. And then he says, "We are better off without him." To which Yennefer just replies, yes. So here you have a great example of Netflix taking an amazing and touching scene from the books, scene which serves as a testament to Jaskier's and Geralt's friendship, and completely butchering it. Because of their dumb changes in the first season, they had to do a complete opposite of it, where Jaskier essentially says fuck Geralt. What a great demonstration of their friendship. And this is what I hate about their relationship in the show. Jaskier is following Geralt like a dog, or as many others already pointed out, like the donkey follows Shrek. Geralt is constantly annoyed by Jaskier. The first thing he does to him is a fucking punch to the gut, which is so out of character for Geralt that it's enraging. Then he bullies Jaskier throughout the first season, and in the episode with Golden Dragon, he lashes out at him, so Jaskier finally gets the message that he probably shouldn't hang out with this dickhead, and leaves. But then Geralt seeks him out in the second season, only because he needs his help. He doesn't look remorseful for what he said to him in the first season, there's no apology, nothing. And Jaskier just accepts all of this and goes with it. He never really challenges Geralt's awful behavior. In the books, Geralt is annoyed by Jaskier as well at times, but even when he lashes out at him, Jaskier always just roasts him back or brushes off his dicks, because as I explained in the last video, he's better with words. So I doubt that Jaskier from the books would just accept this bullying that his show version is getting from Geralt. He would call him out on it. But Geralt shouldn't bully him in the first place, because as Yennefer pointed out in the scene I mentioned a moment ago, Jaskier is the only friend Geralt has on the road. It's suggested several times in the books that Geralt hates his mutations and aberrations, and wants to be a normal human, like everyone else. He also wants to be liked by people. There's a scene in The Last Wish where he talks to Yola in the Temple of Melitele, and describes his first noble deed that he did when he was young, inexperienced and naive. He saved a merchant and his young daughter, which some bandits wanted to rape, but Geralt annihilated one of them in a very bloody way, like Witchers can do, so the rest of the bandits fled in fear. Geralt expected gratitude from the people he saved, and was surprised when the merchant fled with the attackers, and the daughter, understandably vomited, became hysterical and fainted. And here you see Geralt's struggle. He wants to be liked by normal people, be a hero to them, and have friends, but most see him only as a dangerous mutant and a monster. And Jaskier doesn't have these preconceptions about Geralt and sees him for what he truly is. A good human being who wants to be liked by others, but is just misunderstood most of the time. And I think that Geralt really appreciates Jaskier for this, and values his friendship very much. He doesn't take it for granted like it is in the show. How can you fuck this up when even the Hexer got it right?
Marigolde, řekni mi. Kdo vlastně jsem? Mám právo na city?
Ptáš se jako zaklínač? Nebo jako člověk? Či snad gryf, nebo mamut, nebo slimák? Špatná otázka. Jestli něco cítíš a někoho miluješ a máš to v sobě uvnitř, jestli tě to bolí nebo těší, tak to zkrátka máš. Chceš upřít plži právo na city jen proto, že nevíš, zda něco cítí? To by bylo směšné. Prosím tě, nenech si nic namluvit. Nenech si ubližovat. Nepotkal jsem lepšího člověka než si ty.
And there are now people who haven't read the books and they are confused why the fans of the books like Jaskier when he's just a nuisance to Geralt, only because that's how the show portrayed him. Although to be fair, The Witcher 3 didn't do much service to Dandelion either, so if you really want to understand Geralt and his relationship, you have to read the books. But let's move on to the relationship between Geralt and Ciri. This is one of the biggest things Netflix ruined in the first season, because they completely left out their first meeting in Brokilon, which is the cornerstone of their relationship. This is where they start to like each other, and their father-daughter relationship begins. It's why their reunion at the end of the Sword of Destiny works, and it's so emotional. Not because they are destined to each other, but because they already have some rapport. That's why the short story is called Something More, because Ciri is much more than just a destiny for Geralt. In the show, Ciri has no idea who Geralt is as a person. She's just told that he's her destiny, and she needs to find him. And Geralt sees Ciri only once from a distance. Therefore, the ending of the season makes no sense. Why would Ciri leap into the arms of a complete stranger? They are acting like they care for each other, even though they've never met and don't know anything about each other. The show didn't earn this moment. Let's talk about the relationship between Geralt and Yennefer, which Netflix also ruined. In the books, there's this back and forth where they are breaking up, then getting back together again, and this happens several times. But when they are together, they are at least actually dating. When Ciri enters their lives, the relationship between them finally becomes more stable. In the show, we see them together exactly 3 times in the first 2 seasons. Once when they meet for the first time, but they only sleep with each other. In the episode with Golden Dragon, Geralt mentions that they've been with each other more times, but we only see one short shot where he wakes up in the morning and Yennefer is not there anymore, to which Yennefer replies that he left her first, which was immediately after they had sex in Rinde. They also spent a night with each other in the Rare Species episode, but that's it. From what we see in the show, it looks like that all they are doing is sleeping with each other and nothing more. We never actually see them in a relationship. And granted, most of their dating in the books happens off-screen, but it's at least not just hookups. And there's the Shardavise short story with Istred, where Geralt and Yennefer travel and live with each other for a longer period, and Netflix again left out this story, which is important for their relationship. I also hate what they did with the Last Wish short story. This is a very important part of the books, because it's the start of their relationship, so you should make damn sure that you get it right, but it was of course butchered. In the books, Yennefer heard Geralt's last wish, and you can really feel how touched she is by what Geralt did when he destined himself to her forever to save her from the Djinn. And their intercourse which follows is described in a very gentle and romantic way. Words like gentle and tender are literally used as a description. The whole scene is almost poetic. And what did Netflix do with it? They completely ruined it by turning it into this weird sex scene that comes out of nowhere because Yennefer is pissed with Geralt, because he let the Djinn escape, which is another thing that goes against what's said in the books. But anyway, she's arguing with him one moment and in another they are very hastily almost ripping clothes from each other. It doesn't look romantic, gentle or tender at all because of how much they are rushing, and it's also played for a joke with Hiradan and Jaskier's reaction. And yes, in The Last Wish short story there are also jokes and a lot of them are really funny, but that's mainly in the scenes with Jaskier, Hiradan, the Mayor Neville and the Priest Crab, but those scenes are completely left out in this adaptation. The scene with Yennefer and Geralt is definitely not supposed to be funny, but there's also this cheerful upbeat music playing, so the whole tone of the scene is way off compared to the books. And Yennefer also doesn't even know what was Geralt's last wish. After they have sex, she asks him what he wished for, but Geralt is asleep. So as you can see, even the foundation of their relationship was changed and ruined. Let's talk about the relationship between Geralt and Triss. There's none in the show. There was never anything between them, and they also completely left out their journey with Ciri from Kaer Morhen to the Temple of Melitele, where Geralt is taking care of Triss when she's sick. So as you can see, there's a pattern where Netflix leaves out important parts of the books, and it often makes relationships between characters either more shallow or non-existent. Let's move on to the relationship between Ciri and Yennefer. As I mentioned in the previous video, the part where Yennefer is teaching Ciri magic in the Temple of Melitele serves as a way to change your perception of Yennefer's character, but there's more reasons why it's awesome. It's also their relationship that has this interesting arc, where Ciri doesn't like Yennefer at all, and the first thing she wants to do is to run away. Yennefer is also very strict with Ciri at first, and then slowly but surely they start to like each other, and it grows into this mother-daughter relationship which feels earned. In the show, Ciri likes Yennefer right away. Then she finds out that Yennefer just wanted to sacrifice her to gain power, and they get into an argument. But then in the third season, it's like nothing happened, and she likes her again, and everything is forgiven. This shallow relationship also feels more like they are friends than mother and daughter. They've rushed through the scenes where Yennefer is teaching Ciri, and made them their own way, which isn't interesting at all. In the books, you are actually learning about how magic works in this world with Ciri, and it's even funny sometimes. There's a hilarious scene in the books where Yennefer wants Ciri to throw a basket against a wall of some shack, using a magic spell similar to the art sign, but Ciri completely demolishes the whole shack, and Yennefer has to calm down all the priestesses that were spooked by the noise. None of this is in the show, of course. Last thing I want to mention is the relationship between Ciri and the Witchers. Because Geralt is Ciri's adopted father, Vesemir is essentially her granddad and the other Witchers her uncles in the books. You can see in Blood of Elves that they all really care for her. But in the show they are pretty mean to her and they don't want her at Kaer Morhen. Even when they start to accept her a bit initially, they still make fun of her. Vesemir also sees her only as a means to make more Witchers at one point, and when Ciri is possessed by Woleth Meir, which is killing the rest of the Witchers at the end of the second season, he decides to kill Ciri, which indicates that he doesn't really care about her. All he cares about are other Witchers. All of this goes completely against their characters and the relationship they have with Ciri in the books. As with every one of these videos, there's probably more they've ruined which I'm just forgetting. Let me know in the comments if there's something I've missed. Reading the comments and discussing these topics with you is my favorite part of making videos, and especially with the last two about the Witcher Netflix show, there have been some great and insightful comments which will even help me with the next videos I'm planning to do in this series. So I'm looking forward to reading what you have to say this time. In the next video I want to discuss how they butchered the story with their changes, cutting out huge parts of the books and cramming in their own awful ideas and storylines. So if that's something that would interest you and you are new here, subscribe so you won't miss it.